Shalom, friends. This is Akiva Gersh with Israel in 5, and I want to invite you to bring Israel into your home throughout the year with the amazing and stunning Meir Panim calendar. This calendar will keep you connected to Israel throughout the year with its listed Jewish holidays and Israeli national holidays, and especially through its 16 beautiful, breathtaking, and professional photographs of various historical and biblical sites around the land of Israel, each one accompanied by amazing facts about each one. Some of these photographs, in fact, have been taken by an IDF soldier, giving you that very, very unique vantage point that only an IDF soldier can give. This makes a perfect gift for family members and friends who love Israel, who love the Bible, who love history. And the best part of it all, it's free. By making a donation to Meir Panim, you will get this calendar for free. It's shipped worldwide. You can give it to family members or friends, keep it for yourself as a way to keep connected to Israel all throughout the year. Just go to israel5.org/calendar or click on the link below to make a donation to Meir Panim and keep Meir Panim doing its amazing, incredible work that it always does and needs to continue to do, specifically for IDF soldiers and for evacuated families deeply affected by this war. Again, go to israel5.org/calendar or click on the link below to make a donation to Meir Panim, get this amazing and stunning calendar, and stay connected to Israel all throughout the year. With the Jewish holiday of Chanukah just a couple of days away, it makes sense for us to take a few moments to explore, to discover, and to analyze, and to talk about what exactly happened over 2,000 years ago in the land of Israel under the Greek rule to the Jews that led to the Hanukkah story. Let's explore. Shalom, my friends. This is Akiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions and want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. When we look at the history of the land of Israel, of the Jewish people in the land of Israel, we see that there were many times a changing of the guards, a changing of the empires, we should say, those who are ruling over this land. Over 3,000 years ago, the Jewish people came into the land of Israel for the first time and established an independent Jewish rule. Eventually, that was taken from them by the Assyrian Empire. After the Assyrians came the Babylonians, and after the Babylonians came the Persians, and after the Persians came the Greeks in the 4th century BCE. And the Greeks ruled in the land of Israel for about 200 years. And at first, they were rulers like other rulers. They let the Jews do their Jewish thing. Of course, they collected taxes. They were the rulers. They were in charge. But the Jews were allowed to do their Jewish thing. But eventually, that does change. Eventually, the Greek rule becomes oppressive and even anti-Semitic. In fact, historians say that anti-Semitism began with the Greeks. Before that, there was oppression by other empires, but the oppression was for regular things back then, for not paying your taxes or siding with the enemy, right? Political alliances and the like. Under the Greeks, the Jews were oppressed for the first time in their history, specifically for being Jews. The Greeks, with their religion, with their polytheistic ways, with their Greek culture, with their Hellenistic culture, excuse me, simply didn't understand the Jews. They didn't get them. And because they wanted their vast empire, which took up most of the ancient world, to be unified, they wanted everyone under their rule to live basically the same, believe the same thing, live the same way, have the same culture. And for the most part, all the different lands and peoples that they conquered throughout the ancient world were happy to do so. The Hellenistic culture back then was looked at as better than any other culture, an advanced culture, a culture with arts and sciences, sports, and all kinds of other things that were very attractive to ancient peoples. Not so, or not so much, we should say, in the land of Israel for the Jewish people. There were Jews living in the land of Israel under Greek rule, under Hellenistic rule, that did give up their Jewish ways, that did give up their Judaism, and fully embraced the Greek Hellenistic way. Then there were Jews who were kind of in the middle. They liked being Jewish. They liked the Jewish ways. They liked the Jewish rituals and beliefs. But there was something about the Greek culture that was also very attractive to them. And they tried to live in both worlds. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And then there were the Jews that were just absolutely against Hellenistic culture, what it stood for. They felt that it was very superficial. They felt that it was very overly focused on the body and physical pleasures and not enough on the soul. Put human at center instead of God at center. And this really, really bothered them. So there was a real split within the Jewish world as well when it came to the Hellenistic culture. And eventually, the Greeks did start to force the Hellenistic culture on the Jews. At first, it was there as an option. If the Jews wanted it, it was there. But eventually, it became forced. It became oppressive, and the Jews felt it. Right? Eventually, under the rule of Antiochus, first the third, and then more so the fourth, Jews were forced to bow down to idols. They were forced to make non-kosher sacrifices. Literally, Greek soldiers would go from town to town and collect the Jews and force them to do these things. Also, eventually, there were laws that were passed against the Jews that they couldn't keep certain basic foundational aspects of Judaism, like Shabbat and Torah study, and circumcision of their sons. This became very, very intense for Jews. Some of the Jews left the land of Israel. Some of the Jews gave up these things temporarily. Some of these Jews did so, continued to do these things in hiding, knowing that they were risking their lives, and there were Jews who were killed for these things. Jews who were killed for keeping Shabbat, for learning Torah, for circumcising their sons. And then there was a group of Jews who said, you know what, we have to fight. Enough is enough. And that's where the story of Chanukah comes from. Eventually, Greek soldiers got to a town called Modi'in in the center of the land of Israel. They did what they did in all the other towns. They forced the Jews to bow down to idols, to sacrifice a pig on an altar. And there was one man there whose name was Mattaityahu, who had enough. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. And he took out his sword, he ran to the Greek soldiers, he killed them, and he declared a rebellion, a mered, as we say in Hebrew, a revolt against the Greeks. And that started the Hasmonean Revolt. His sons joined him, a few thousand other people joined him. They were the Maccabees, they were the fighters against the Greeks. And now the Jewish army was small, but they were committed. They were tiny, but they were passionate. And they knew that they were doing something crazy. They were going up against the strongest army in the world, the trained professional army of the Greek Empire. It took them some time, but eventually they defeated them, specifically in Jerusalem, and they got the temple back. The temple had basically turned into a Greek temple where they brought idols and they sacrificed pigs on the Jewish altar. And when the Hasmoneans, the Maccabees, took over the temple again, they purified it. They cleared out the idols. They rebuilt a new altar, which they had to do because the old one became impure and unusable. And they reintroduced Jewish service into the temple. They started, the sacrifices again and all the other rituals that they did on a day-to-day basis in the temple before the Greeks took over. And that included lighting the menorah, and that's the whole story, right? We know the whole story that they went to light the menorah. There was only one small jar of pure oil. This oil had to be very, very pure and certified pure by the high priest in Jerusalem. They only had one jar of it, which would last one day. The miracle is that it lasted 8 days until they were able to get a fresh, new, pure supply of olive oil to continue lighting in a natural way, non-miracle way every single day. And that's pretty much the context of the story of Hanukkah. It's a people, the Jewish people, rising up for their rights, for their independence, for their culture, their religion, and to push off the oppressive rule of a foreign culture that was trying to force their ways, both religiously and culturally, on the Jewish people in their ancestral homeland. All the best, my friends, and be well.